Welcome, everyone. We're just going to give it a minute for everyone to come into the webinar event today. Welcome. Feel free as you're joining to just drop in the chat who you are, what your role is, maybe something you'd like to learn today. We're going to get started in just a moment. We've got quite a few people streaming in. That's great. I already have a great crowd. And some familiar faces. Great. Okay, we're seeing the people are introducing themselves in the chat. Perfect. For a lively group. Awesome. All right, we are at the top of the hour. I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with some housekeeping before we get going. First of all, thank you for coming to this webinar event. Hosted by the Presidio Project. For those of you who are not familiar with the Presidio Project, we are an organization that assists Catholic schools in innovation and sustainability solutions in a number of ways. One of those is through providing professional development and connecting you with top thought leaders in the field. And it is for that reason, I am absolutely delighted and honored to have Mr. Kurt Lewis with us again today. He has quickly become one of our most favorite presenters of webinars. He is a marketing consultant and someone who is a fantastic resource. So please feel free to reach out to him after the event today as well if you need any follow-up and sign up for the rest of his webinars. I think he has stuff planned all through the rest of the school year already through the Presidio Project. So if you have questions today, go ahead and put those in the Q&A or the chat. Kurt's going to try to address those as he can. We'll get as many as we can get answered live, but he'll also be following up with any that he can't do in the session today. And without further ado, Kurt, I am going to toss it over to you. Let you introduce yourself and get to know our listeners.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you again for having me. It's always fun to be here with Presidio Project. I've met a ton of really fun people through these trainings over the last just 5-6 months. And it's always just excellent to be able to see so many people enthusiastic about working on their school's enrollment, working on their marketing. And so if I get to be the person who gets to teach you some of these things, that is a delight and a blessing for me. So welcome. Thanks again. And if you have any questions, please let me know throughout. But today we're going to talk a lot about retention, and with that, a lot of customer service. And so you'll hear quite a bit of both in there. But by way of quick introduction, to remind you who I am. So this is me. You may have been on a training with me before. If you haven't, I'm a marketing consultant. I used to be the director of enrollment marketing for the Archdiocese of Chicago, where I had 130 plus schools that I was working with there. So quite large. Now, the main archdiocese that I'm working with is Miami, but I'm working with schools all over the country and archdiocese all over the country. It is enormously satisfying. It is a ton of fun to be all over the place and get to know all sorts of different people and all sorts of different projects. For those of you who don't know, I do have ADHD, so you'll see some of that come through during this presentation. But because of that, I am able to jump from school to school quite quickly and easily, and I love doing it. So if you ever have any needs outside of this, please let me know. You can reach me at kurtthemarketer.com or just email me, kurtthemarketer@gmail.com, which for some reason is not on that slide. But these are some of the myriad services that I provide to dioceses and schools that I like to advertise here when I get a chance, because these are available to you. I would love to work with you. And the best news being, this could be essentially free for your school or for your diocese. If you already have Title II funds available that you have not spent for the school year, the resources that I offer, they are training resources. So they're helping build capacity in your school. That is covered as a coaching cost by Title II. So if you have Title II funds available, that can cover whatever I do. And if you work with FACTS, they are typically the ones who manage the process for you. So it can also be seamless. So if you're ever interested in working with me, I would love to work with you. So please reach out and we can chat. Following this presentation, Presidio Project will make this video available, and I will also put the slides up on the EMS Digital Marketing Resource Library. That digital library is worth the cost of admission, and admission was free, so it is actually an enormous value. Check out that library. A lot of the tools that I create go into that library, and so if you're ever looking for anything, any sort of letters or forms or things like that that you might need, any sort of marketing strategies, previous trainings, they'll be in that library. If there is something you'd like to see and you don't see it there, let me know. I might have it for you. Before you spend time creating anything, give me a shout, send me an email. The vast majority of the time that I get emails from schools around the country, it is a 5-minute thing and it doesn't cost them a dime. I don't charge for it because I've already got these things done. So if I can pass them along, I'm happy to. So if there's ever a resource you need, let me know. We're trying to create a rising tide that will lift all of our boats. So please reach out, kurtthemarketer@gmail.com. Also, if you're coming to the NCEA convention in April, or if you're coming to the Elevate convention in July, I hope to see you there. Come and see my trainings. In April, I'll be talking about shining your diamond, and that means condensing your school into a motto that's going to be really effective for you, and then using that motto as a thesis statement throughout your website. And in July at Elevate in Dallas, I'll be giving the marketing jumpstart, which is an intense hour, and you can see how quickly I already speak. So that hour goes even faster than this. And also next level web strategies. So strategies for your social media, your website, and all of those good things, online advertising. So if you come to either of those conventions, come and see me. And at the very least, come and say hi. I would love to see you, love to meet you in person. But thanks again for being here today. So the goal, of course, is more kids in great Catholic schools. I can help you with the more kids parts. The great Catholic schools part, that's you. I know that on this call, we have a mix of folks who are either working in the marketing, enrollment, registration, or even just front desk or parent volunteer fields, working direct marketing for the schools. But we also have quite a lot of school leaders on these calls. Now, my goal is always to have the school leaders be able to lead their schools, to give you that time back and let you get back into the classrooms, be an educational leader, do all of the things it takes to make your school great, because that is the #1 marketing piece that you can have, is having a terrific school that people are hearing great things about. So the more that we can get these things off of your plate as a school leader and onto the plates of either staff members or volunteers, the better. So that great schools part, that's your part. Let us take care of the more kids part, and we can all do it together. The enrollment management continuum, you may have heard this from me before, but the continuum goes recruit, retain, refer, repeat. And each one of these pieces is vital. We spend a ton of time when we talk about marketing, talking about recruitment. How do we find new families to come into our school? But you'd be stunned, maybe you wouldn't, at how many schools are losing a ton of kids every year and don't even know it. They may be losing up to 10% of their students every year and not really have noticed it. Maybe they're not doing any outgoing interviews, any things like that, exit interviews. They may not be tracking those numbers very closely. So every year they're having to replace that pool of students with this pool of brand new students. And that's why retention is really key. That's what we're going to focus on today. Today's very much about keeping the students that we already have so that we don't have to find new students to replace them. It seems basic. Most schools are doing this very, very naturally. And quite a lot of you hopefully will have very little to think about in this presentation, especially the first part as we talk about customer service. But some of you have distinct customer service issues in your school that definitely need to be addressed. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So in order to retain a student, really what you're trying to do is retain their entire family. You've got to get the parents or guardians on board with your message and with your mission. And the key to that is excellent customer service. And there's a big, big difference between acceptable or good customer service and excellent customer service. And we're going to talk about those two levels today. First, we're going to talk about kind of that baseline customer service that anyone should expect from your school. But then we're going to talk about how you can be proactive and offer really intentional customer service that's going to keep families engaged, keep them excited about what you're doing, and get them to tell other families about your school. That's when we go from that retention to referral. So we want to retain them, and then they, if we do a good enough job, are going to refer other families to the school. If we do just an average job, we may or may not even retain those families, but they probably won't go out and refer other families. So that's why this continuum is so important, and why we talk first and foremost about customer service. And who are our customers? Everyone in your school should know this. And it is fairly simple, of course. It is your current parents, your current students, prospective parents, prospective students, service providers, people coming into your school from the outside who are coaches or provide any sort of title programs, visitors to your school, anyone who is volunteering or visiting a classroom, calls and inquiries from the outside, no matter who they're from. That's essentially anyone who's engaging with your school. That is a pretty huge net to cast, but in reality, it makes it easier. You just say, we want to offer great customer service all the time to everyone. There shouldn't be a difference between the customer service that we offer a current parent and a visitor to the school who's just inquiring for the first time. I know that we get very excited when we have new families coming into the school to learn about us. If we got that excited about our current families coming into the office, they would love it. They would want to be there every day. Now, there are, of course, families that you get to know very well, and you're not excited when you see them coming into the office. That's natural, of course. It's going to be difficult. And that's why you really have to lean on your staff members to be responsible for this customer service piece. A commitment to customer service is a commitment to retention. It requires buy-in from all of your staff members. Everyone is part of that sales force, and sales meaning not just, again, those new family sales of people that we're hoping to get, but the families who are already there, the families that we're hoping to keep, and we need to focus on them really closely. That means the administration, the pastor, the faculty, school board, everyone in your building is involved with that customer service aspect. So if you think about who are the customers, everyone with whom we engage. Who is offering that customer service? Everyone who works inside of our building. Customer service is a whole myriad of different things. It's the way that we smile at guests when they enter the building, the way we introduce ourselves, the way we treat callers, the way we welcome prospective families, the way that we make something easier, and I love this one, because we thoughtfully anticipated a need or a concern. The way that we affirm and commend parents and students regularly, and the way that we make the school atmosphere warm and inviting. So it's far more than just the interaction that you're having with that person right then. It is a lot more about what can I do in advance of that interaction to make sure that it's going to be positive. Do I have a way for people to communicate with me effectively? And is that communication a two-way street? I love social media, and we'll talk about that a lot in here, and it is a terrific customer service tool. It allows us to put out a ton of information whenever we want to in a very pretty and very accessible way. And parents love it. They love social media and websites that are effective because it saves them a lot of time, saves them having to call the school or walk into the school and ask these questions. Hopefully they can engage with that. But are you also engaging on social media? Is your social media actually social? It's meant to be a two-way street. And for a lot of schools, we don't have that kind of time, or we think we don't. And so we just kind of put things out into the void and hope that people like them, hope that people engage with them, when in reality, we need to be seeking all the time that same information. Is this meeting your needs? Did you care about this? Was this something that was meaningful to you? That social media should be a two-way street. It should be social. And the only way we can do that is by asking those kinds of questions in the posts and outside of the posts. When parents talk to you, you should ask them, so where did you actually hear about this? Did you read it in the newsletter? Was it on one of our social media posts? Are you hearing it from your kids? There are a ton of different ways we can communicate with our parents, and we'll talk about that in the love languages section. Customer service, who is serving our customers? As I mentioned, it's everyone in the school. However, your front desk staff member is the captain of your customer service team, and it is a team, and they should be empowered as such. I love front desk people at schools, and I think most people do. And almost every school I go to has a terrific front desk person. This photo is of Mary Lupe Chavez. She was the front desk person at St. Pius Fifth School when I worked there for 5 years. She is like a sister to me. We are so very close still to this day. I haven't worked with her for 7 years now, and we're still very close because we had each other's backs. We were a team, we were a family, and we really looked out for each other. But I knew that I could count on her for absolutely anything. And so did every parent who came in the door. They all knew that they could count on Mary Lupe when they needed her. So if you are at all concerned about the person at that front desk, about the quality of service, the customer service that they're offering, you need to address that concern immediately. And it needs to be frank and honest and constructive. And of course, if this is a true HR issue, then you really need to go to someone well above my pay grade, someone at your diocese who is qualified to deal with these sorts of personnel issues, because that front desk person, more than any other person in your school, is going to be interacting with everyone who walks through the door. They are the face of your school. They're the face of the customer service that you offer. And if you have a concern about their customer service, that means you have a concern about the quality of your entire school as it is viewed from the outside world. So having a great person at that front desk is absolutely crucial. This person needs to be reliable, responsive, empathetic, competent, and should ideally have values that matches the schools, values that match the schools. so that we can look to them as a model for all of the things that we are trying to teach our students. And Mary Lupe was definitely that at St. Pius and still is. I'm incredibly blessed to have had her. And I have met dozens and dozens of men and women at other schools who are working behind those front desks, who are equally skilled, equally qualified, and fantastic. If you do not have that at your school, that's something you really need to look into, something that you really need to talk about. I would be happy to talk to anyone offline. I do offer customer service trainings for staff specifically, but this will be something broadly as a school leader that you will need to handle on your own, though we can definitely help. This is a litmus test that I really liked, and I saw this in a school and I asked to borrow it, and I've since passed it around. And I have a lot of schools that will actually post this in different parts of the building as a little reminder to themselves, to their staff members, to ask yourself, is the decision that I am about to make or the action that I'm going to take, is it going to build the brand? Is it going to eliminate an obstacle? Is it going to deepen a relationship or build trust? Will it enhance the experience for a parent or a student? And will it advance the mission? Now, not every action you take, not every interaction you have will rise to this level where you need to really think hard about, am I doing the right thing here? Most of the time you can do your job very well. You're very good at doing your job and it will go just fine. But if you have an interaction that's a little higher key than that and a little bit more important than that, this litmus test is a great thing to look at. And it's a great thing to pass along to staff members who may not be on that same customer service team with you. I like the litmus test a lot. It's a great thing to refer back to. I do this a lot with students where I will have, and all of you have this, rules written on the wall, certain values that we expect them to meet, and we take the judgment out of it. Instead of saying, hey, you're being loud right now, you say, hey, could you tell me on our list of values, which one you don't think you're meeting right now? Respect, yes, absolutely. Let's work on respect a little bit. Let's move on to the next thing. It works with adults as well, to be able to say, hey, if you could just take another look at the litmus test, I feel like some of the interactions you've had lately haven't necessarily met all of those criteria. We try to take any sort of emotion out of it. We try to take any sort of judgment out of it and just say, this is the benchmark. This is the bar. We need you clearing that bar each time. But of course, as a school leader, along with that, you're going to need some documentation if you feel like this is going to be a long-term issue, because we all know how difficult it is to remove someone who is just not part of the team in the way that we want them to be. So always make sure you're documenting these things as well. We have done such an incredible job coaching people earlier in their careers and even late in their careers to become the kinds of team members that we want to work with. It can definitely work, but there are some people for whom these strategies just aren't going to be effective. And if you feel like that, again, talk to someone in your diocese who can help you with that. But I would also be happy to talk to you about some of these strategies. So training your staff, having these things come up, it can be difficult to know when to raise these customer service issues with your staff members. But here are some excellent ways. If you have just kind of broader issues, if you wish that people were responding in a different way to families, there are a bunch of different ways that we can approach this. You can talk to them as part of an in-service day, a lunch and learn, a webinar. Again, if there's one staff member, you've got to get to them. You've got to get to them quickly. That customer service gap can lose you a remarkable number of families. And if nothing else, could cost you a ton of referrals. Families who love your school, they love the teachers, they love the curriculum, they're very satisfied with the after-school programs, but there's something about that front desk person, there's something about the person in the school with whom they have an issue that just keeps them from referring someone else to the school. I love it there. I'm not sure if it's for everyone. If we're getting the same level of customer service from all of our staff, there should be no hesitation among our parents to refer us to other parents that they know. So if those issues come up, you've got to get to them head on. So those were all kind of my basic customer service things that I like to talk about. And those are part of a much larger customer service training, which again, if you would ever like to hear more about that, I'd be happy to talk to you. But what we're really here to talk about is not that baseline good customer service. We're talking about great customer service, proactive customer service that makes people really feel welcome, really feel at home. And so this is where the 5 love languages come in. And this might be a little kind of new agey for some folks. I totally understand, even though at this point, I think the 5 love languages are something like 30 or 40 years old. But it can feel a little squishy when it comes to people who are used to very, very firm educational concepts. But this is how I like to think about proactive customer service, using the 5 love languages to better serve and effectively retain families. And for those of you who have not heard of them before, and I think most of you probably have, but some of you may have not, these are the 5 love languages. These are based on the book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And this book explores how individuals relate to one another and how their significant other, or in this case, the customers we serve, the families with whom we work, can implement behaviors and ideas in order to better communicate and improve their relationship. Now, what I love about this book is it gives you concrete steps and examples that you can take to change your relationship with another person. Not asking them to change, not asking them to do something different in their lives, but something you can do to make it easier to communicate with them. And communication issues are the main reason that we lose families. We lose so many families because they don't know all the things that they need to know going on in the school. I'll give you an example. I would have families come to me regularly and say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and move to this other charter school. And I would say, well, why are you doing that? And they said, oh, well, we just don't have enough after school programs. My kid wants to do X, Y, and Z, and we don't have it. It was remarkable how many times those parents would raise something that we actually did have. I had someone come in and tell me, my kid wants to play chess. This other school has a chess team, and I want them to be able to do that. And I looked them straight in the eye and I said, we have a chess team. I'm the coach. I coach our chess team. And so they didn't know that for whatever reason, but I couldn't put it on them. I couldn't put it on them and say, well, it was in the newsletters, it was on the website. Why didn't they know? Something failed in me in trying to reach them. I was not able to get that messaging across to them for whatever reason. And the biggest reason for that is our parents are differentiated learners, just like our students. They need to be reached in different ways. So once they had that information, they were much happier. How do I fix that with every single parent in the school? And that's a lot, for sure. So what are the original 5 love languages? These are the ones that we're going to look at today. Words of affirmation, physical touch or presence, receiving gifts, quality time, acts of service. And we're going to look at each of those and how we can make those work for us and make those work for the parents with whom we're communicating. But again, I do recommend checking out this book just for every relationship in your life. It is terrific. For example, I am a gifts person. I love receiving gifts. That is a meaningful thing to me. That is not my wife's love language. And I had to learn that because I wanted to give gifts and have that be enough, have that be a meaningful thing for her like it was for me. And of course, she enjoyed it, but that wasn't her language. She was an acts of service person and a physical presence person. She wants me to be thinking ahead about how I can make things better in our world together. Once I knew that, things got much, much easier for me. It was so much easier to communicate with her in a meaningful way. So if you can think about what is inside of you, how you communicate with people, and the kind of communication that they would like to get from you, that's what we're talking about today. How can we change that and amplify it? So how do you determine a parent's love language? Pay attention. That's number one. In a million subtle and not so subtle ways, people will reveal their love languages over time. For example, a parent might be giddy every time new spiritware becomes available, new magnets, new bumper stickers, whatever it is, they're the first ones in the office looking for this new thing because they're very excited about that sparkly new thing. That's probably a receiving gifts person. Maybe another parent regularly mentions that they're in their free time, they wish they could help the school. Like right now, I'm only working part-time or I'm not working. My kids are just back in school. I had left my job to raise them and now I'm just a little bit bored. Do you guys have anything that you need? They're not just trying to be nice. They're not just trying to say, yeah, I'd love to help if something comes up. They're really looking for something to do. They're looking for a way to be meaningfully part of your school. That's an acts of service person. That's how they serve others. How they communicate with others is to do those service. Excuse me. So take them seriously, hear them out, and figure out, is there something they could be doing to help in the office? Sometimes folks can get in the way for sure, but sometimes folks can make an enormous difference in the quality of your school life. The other way is to ask them. That's the other way to find out. And here's a subtle but effective way to ask parents their love language. We implemented this at Pius. It went very, very well. It just let me know how I can reach parents in an easier way. And it was so simple. In our intake paperwork, we added a section that described the ways that our school would communicate with parents. And that would be social media, e-newsletter, school messenger, text messages, face-to-face communication, notes home, notes in backpacks, all sorts of things. Would you rather get a physical newsletter or an electronic newsletter? And we asked everyone filling out our paperwork to rank the ways in which they like to be communicated with. It made a huge difference. When I knew that I had to get certain things to certain parents, I could just go to that book real quick, look at their preference and say, this person likes to see things on social media. I need a post because there's another 50 people in this book who like to see it on social media. And these people, they like to see it in an email. So I need to email them directly. So yes, things need to be communicated 5 different ways every time, but we're used to that. We're used to doing all of these different things to communicate with our parents. But now we can be intentional about it. We can be targeted about it. And you'll get to know them very quickly. You'll get to know the parents very, very quickly. They can communicate in different ways because they either will or will not get your messages based on how you send them. And so, if you need to reach this particular mom or dad, you can get them on the phone anytime. Or this particular mom and dad, you're only going to be able to text them, So look at those, and that will tell you a lot about their love language and the best way to communicate with them. So let's look at individual love languages. And the first one we're going to look at is words of affirmation. Very simple. It is what it sounds like. How you communicate with these folks: encourage, affirm, appreciate, empathize, listen actively. Now, in this one, we're going to look closely at the actions you can take. So the example that they give here, this is a great example for both relationships and the relationships that you have with school parents. Send an unexpected note, text, or card. Encourage genuinely and often. That's just terrific practice. That is wonderful. Who would not love that? Everyone loves that, but there are some people for whom this is extremely effective. This is the way that they want to hear about things. They need those words of affirmation. So as often as possible for these words of affirmation parents, we're going to share those student success stories. And that could be at the beginning of the school year, sending a welcome letter that shares last year's successes and all of the exciting new things that are coming this year. Send home personal notes and emails. I cannot encourage this enough. It is incredibly important. I believe that all of our educators, all of our school staff should be encouraged to do this. I know that sometimes email communications can be fraught, and so there is some training that comes along with that, making sure that people are using the web responsibly, using these communication channels responsibly, but it is worth it to keep that line of communication open with parents. If your interactions with parents are broadly positive because you've been proactive, you've sent home notes that have said, hey, your son was having some trouble with reading over the last couple of months, and I got to tell you, this morning, I asked everyone if they would read in front of the class, and his hand shot up. And he got up and he read with confidence, better than I've ever heard him read. So things are going well here. And I think whatever you're doing at home is working. So thank you for doing that. It's a short note or a short phone call, but those words of affirmation mean everything to that parent. Plus, you're setting yourself up for success. If there ever is an issue down the road, it's an anomaly because they've already heard great things from you. And so instead, all of a sudden they're hearing an issue from you. So something must actually be up. Instead of just, I've never heard anything from this teacher. Now they're upset with my kid. Must be something wrong with the teacher. That's the reality that we live in now. And so it's far better to have these open lines of communication in advance of that so that these words of affirmation parents feel affirmed. We should always be telling them what a terrific choice they have made to come to our school. And it is a choice. Every single year, our parents have to decide whether or not they're going to send their kids to our school. For most of our parents, this is an enormous financial commitment. Even if they're receiving a scholarship, there is a huge amount of paperwork that goes into getting that scholarship. It's a lot of work when you could just send your kid down the street to the public school and it would be free and easy. So every single year for 10, 11, even 12 years, sometimes our parents are making this decision to bring their kid to the school. They have to look at their budget every summer and say, is this going to be worth it again? This is the kind of thing that makes that decision easy. But we should also give them credit for it after they make that decision. Remind them over and over again, you've made the best choice for your child. It's great to call parents and check in and thank them for choosing your school. And whenever you can, share those compliments at pickup and drop off, face-to-face, even better way to do it. It's nice to be able to share these things through email, phone call, social media, but face-to-face means so much when you can walk right up to someone and say, my goodness, extreme improvement in math. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your help. Thank you for everything you've been doing with them at home. Just wanted to say that. Have a wonderful day. So powerful. But of course, we do want to get these things on social media as often as possible, especially when it's a large school-wide event, a large school-wide achievement, or a really big achievement by one of your students or one of your classrooms. Everyone should feel great about that as a family. As a school family, we should all be excited about the successes of our individual students and classrooms. That's what makes social media such a vital tool for the words of affirmation, folks. All of your posts on social media are going to be affirming their choice to come to your school. So the more exciting posts we can have out there, the better. Whatever you're using, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anything like that, just make sure that you're getting a lot of positive messages out there, because they just need to hear something. Those words, they mean a lot to them. Let's check out the next kind of person. Physical touch / presence. Now, obviously in a school environment, particularly during COVID times, we're not actually talking about physical touch. Physical presence is the more important way to think of it here. So in this case, we'll talk about the nonverbal ways that we communicate, how we use body language to emphasize our care for their student. So in this case, we're talking about parents who are really reassured by the physical presence of principals, of teachers, and of other staff members. They want to know that their child is being cared for, that there's someone always there who knows where their kid is and who is concerned about them and wants them to do the best that they can. Sometimes these parents themselves are very physically present in their child's lives. They'll show up at the school all the time. They're there quite a lot. They are physical presence people. So a great way to reassure them is try to be present. Try to be present at pickup and drop off. Try to be present where there are a lot of parents who are going to be in a specific area. Give yourself that time if you can. Carve it out to be there so that if they have something they want to say, they can say it. But more than anything, the knowledge that you're there is enough. As they drive up, they feel reassured by the fact that, yes, there are the traffic monitors who are watching out for our kids, but wow, I see that the principal is here, or I see that the marketer is here, or I see that the front desk staff person is here. They rotate out and I get to see new faces. But these are all people who are part of my child's continuum of care. And I know that they are present for my child. All faculty and staff should do their best to try to get out and get to know some parents, not just the ones in their classroom, but really anyone who's going to be around. That's the way that we make this school a lot safer, is when we can build that bubble and build that community and get to know everyone in it, so that we know when there's a new face or a potentially concerning face in the crowd. But everyone should be out there and be present, and that will mean a lot to these physical presence parents. Shaking hands, or in this case, bumping elbows, COVID times, and sharing compliments in person, walking right up and saying to someone, hey, great day, wonderful day today. So glad they were here. Thanks again, I'll see you tomorrow. Just being there. Making invitations face-to-face. The physical presence parents often don't respond as well to texts, emails, phone calls, and you know this. You've seen these parents in your office. They're in there every day, and the only way that they get information about the school is by talking to the front desk person or talking to a teacher. But they're there constantly, and that's the way that they like to receive information. Can we think about that in a way that is healthy? Can we look at that and say, this is something they need? Yes, it's something that's frustrating and something that can take a lot of my time, but this is the way that they need communication from me, and I can do that. I can meet that need. Solving problems in person rather than over phone or by email. For these physical presence people, they need to see you. They need to be face-to-face with you when there's an issue. So if you know you have a physical presence parent and you have an issue that comes up at the school, try to get them into the office. Try not to deal with this over the phone or over email. Try to get them face-to-face before you have this sort of communication. But then another great way to do it is just host meet and greet events, which is usually part of the natural sort of rhythm of a school year, but it means a ton to these parents. Just seeing you face-to-face, getting a feel for who you are, getting to see you speak means a lot to them. Let's talk about the next person, the gifts person. People like me, people who love stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a different way that we communicate. And so in this case, we're talking about thoughtful gifts and gestures, small things that matter in a big way. I love that. Small things that matter in a big way. And then expressing gratitude, of course, when you receive a gift from them. So some things to consider with them. Small considerate gifts can go a long way with any parent, but especially the gifts parents. When you do a bumper sticker or a car magnet campaign, when you do yard signs and posters, or even giving away school uniforms or gym shirts. The great example that I give is of schools that do a class of shirt, not just for their 8th graders, not just for their middle schoolers, for kids coming into the school, for 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. As they join in, they will get a t-shirt that says class of 2035. And that sets this expectation that you're going to be there from now until graduation. You're going to be there with us for your entire elementary school career. But that gift, that token, means something to those parents. My mom is another gift giving person and loves receiving gifts and giving gifts. And she still has some of these t-shirts, some of these tokens that she was given for me when I was 2 and 3 years old. And they mean so much to her. She does go back to them. She does look at them. It's not just sitting in a box. She thinks about it. She's like, oh, you remember when the school sent home that sweatshirt when you got featured in the newspaper, and they thought that was so cool and they gave you a free sweatshirt? And I'm like, I barely remember that, but she remembers it. It meant a ton to her. So little things can go a long way. When you do something like a bumper sticker or a car magnets are the huge thing. When you do a car magnet campaign, and I do recommend them, I like car magnets a lot. They're worth it. They are rolling advertisements. And more than anything, when someone's driving down the street in a neighborhood and they see a bunch of them, it starts to send a message. It's not about kind of the niceness of the car. It's about the prevalence of these magnets. So when you do a campaign like that, when you get a car magnets, don't think of it as just an item. Think of it as a campaign, as an activity, as a marketing event. So instead of just handing out car magnets, sending them home in backpacks, let's get out into the car line and ask each progressive parent, can we stick this magnet to the back of your car? Or send out their own kids with these magnets at the end of the day and have them ask their parents, can I stick this to the back of the car? Get your youngest kids, get your cutest kids to go out there and say, can I please put a magnet on your car? Because then it will actually get stuck on there instead of the parents who are like, neat magnet, I'm gonna put this on the fridge because I have way too nice a car to put this on. If you have a kid stick it on there, they'll leave it. So think about that as you do those campaigns. But for those gift receiving parents, this means a ton, and it becomes part of their status symbol, part of the reason that they love being at your school. But don't forget too that these receiving gifts parents are typically gift givers as well. They're people who really appreciate the value of an item and the meaning that it has for another person. So they put a lot of value into this act of exchanging gifts. So they can be extremely valuable when it comes to service projects like a donation drive. If you need food or clothing brought in, this is a great person to manage it because they will value every item that comes in. All of these jackets, all of these boots, all of the things that you want for this drive, they are terrific at managing that because they care about each individual item. Also during fundraisers, when you're trying to put together a silent auction, these are the folks you want on your team, the people who love stuff. And therefore they're like, oh, I shop a lot. I know where to get stuff. People at these shops know me. You give me 15 letters and I'll come back with 15 items. I love the gift giving parents when it comes to fundraising. So think about those things for them. Let's check out the next person. The quality time parent. In this case, we're going to be looking at avoiding distractions when spending time together. Long stints without one-on-one time. Now, when I'm talking about quality time here, I'm not talking about quality time with you necessarily. With you, the school person, though that time should hopefully always be quality time when you're interacting with one of these parents or a stakeholder from outside of the school. What I'm more talking about is a way for families to spend time together. That's what they're really looking for. It is more and more difficult to connect as a family every year that goes by. A lot more time is spent with devices and in the digital space, and we don't feel as connected to anyone in this world. And that kind of last vestige is our family. So a lot of times we feel disconnected from our families because we just don't get that much time with them. If you can create an environment or a way for these parents to have more quality time with their family, they will treasure that. They love that time. These are the parents that every night are trying to get everyone to sit down at the table and have dinner together. No, you may not be excused. Please tell me a little bit about your day. I need this time. I need it to be quality. I need the TV off. I need your phones in your pockets or in your rooms or turned off. I just need this time. Those parents can really benefit from the kinds of opportunities that you can create at the school. So for example, creating family nights, like a family game night. That is my favorite. I'll come back to that in a second. Doing bingo, dances, literacy night, movie night, STEM night, daddy-daughter dances, mother-son dances, donuts with dad, muffins with mom, all sorts of things. Schools do a great job of bringing people in, again, in this natural cadence of the school year. I should mention that my go-to word for all of my marketing is intentionality. I want people to be intentional. It's not about doing more, it's about doing better. Taking the things that you're already doing and really being planful about it, and really having an intent behind it. So when you look at all of these events that you've been putting on for families that have been successful through the years, think about these parents in particular for whom this is going to make a big difference. Target them in your advertising for this. Make sure that they feel engaged. They will engage other parents. These quality time parents will say, oh my goodness, we have this family game night coming up. It is a blast. It is wonderful. It's a great time. I never sit down and play games with my kids. But even cooler than that, after 3 games, my kids got bored. They ran off and played with other kids. I got to play games with other parents. I got to meet one of my kids' best friends' parents who I had never met before because they only see each other at school. And now we set up a carpool. It's wonderful. That quality time means so much to a parent. So if you can set that time up and then be intentional about what it's used for, it's not just something that we do every year. It's something that we're really trying to get to be quality time, and market it like that. Talk about it like that. We have this dance coming up and we want you to be there because we think quality time is so important to spend between parents and children, between entire families, between the school and the families we serve. We want that time to be meaningful. So please join us for these events. Open house nights for current parents, not just for prospective parents, highlighting what is happening in each grade and encouraging families to visit other grades. Not just step-up days, not just you're in 4th grade, we're going to have you see 5th grade and get to know that teacher. See any grade, feel comfortable about this place, walk around, make it yours, make this part of your home life. That quality time inside of those classrooms is going to really resonate with these families as they start to feel like, wow, okay, so the time that they have here is also really quality. And I feel comfortable sending them here because I know that my kids are getting something really valuable for their time. Ensure that families know that their time, that's exactly what I was just saying, time that their children spend in school is high quality. You can do this by highlighting your curriculum and achievement on your website. A lot of schools are not doing this, which is remarkable to me. Schools might have kind of vague information about their curriculum on their site. Be proud of it. I know that sometimes this can be kind of dry as we're learning about it, the ways that the kinds of books that we're using and the types of curriculum that we're using. But be proud, put it up on your site, let people know more about it. We're doing Super Kids this year. How would you like to know more about Super Kids? Well, this is how it works for your kids, and we're so excited about it because it is a way that we have seen work for so many students that have come through our school. But the other thing that you should be highlighting on there are, I created this thing called a digital trophy case, a digital academic trophy case, where you have your physical trophy case in your school, where you highlight all of your sporting achievements and you have all of your trophies from all of your different extracurriculars and all of the things that kids have done. What we don't do enough of is highlighting our academic successes. So all of your schools have kids who have gone on to be, gone on to some of the best high schools in the area, have been honor students in those areas, have been valedictorians in those areas. And so you want to have that highlighted on your website. When a kid at your school does something amazing, they come in 3rd at a regional spelling bee, memorialize that on your site permanently. That's your trophy case. And every time people go there, they can see, wow, that is some real quality time that kids are spending there because I can see all of these amazing achievements. So not just a one-off news story, take that and put it into your digital trophy case. It can be one line, it could be a little image. You can go crazy with it, you can do very little with it, but it's a way of collecting all of your academic achievements just like you would your sports achievements. Share exciting classroom activities and projects on social media. This gets to the heart of that nothing problem. The nothing problem. A student comes home at the end of the school day and their parent says, what did you do at school today? And the student says, nothing. I didn't do anything. We stared at the wall for 12 hours. So we have to counter that nothing problem, because if a parent hears that enough times and they say, well, I'm paying $7,000, $8,000 a year for you to do nothing in the classroom, while I'm sure things are going on, I don't know much about what's going on either. So if this isn't that exciting, maybe we can do something else. Maybe we can go to a public school that's free. We can solve that nothing problem by sharing all of these quality time moments, all of these amazing things that are happening in the classroom. Share even just the most mundane things, just a photo of classroom with students with their hands in the air, doing diorama projects, things that are very average to us are new to a lot of parents. Don't forget, your parents of 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, if this is their first time through school, this is their first school experience. Everything is new to them. Yes, you've got tons of veteran parents in 8th grade who've put 3 or 4 kids through the school, but you've also got a bunch of lower grade parents who've never done this before. Share this information for them. They want to know this is quality time. They don't need to wait 3 or 4 years to find out. And finally, acts of service. Is this final? Anyway, acts of service is the next one. And here we're really talking about using action phrases like I'll help, They want to know that you are with them, that you are partnered with them. And for parents, this can be very simple. How do we best serve our parents? We make their day easier. We make information easy to access. So make sure your website is up to date and easy to navigate. Acts of service parents, they appreciate the heck out of that. They've got tons of things to do because they are out serving other people as well. So the more time you can save them by being intentional, by thinking ahead about all the ways that you communicate, that's the best way to serve these guys. Save them time and they will value that. Communicate in a variety of ways, such as social media, e-newsletter, school messenger, text messages, etc. Like I said, parents are differentiated learners. They need to hear things in a bunch of different ways and a bunch of different sources before it will really sink in for them. The acts of service parents, today I might be on my phone, tomorrow I might be on my laptop. How are you going to reach them? Stream live school events. We have some busy parents out there, especially these acts of service parents, the ones who are out doing the work. They're out working all the time, but they would still love to be engaged with your school. So if you stream live your events, your graduations or your performances, or even just practices for baptisms or first communions, things like that, take these things and put them out live for those parents and they will appreciate it. They'll engage with you, and that is a way of serving them. Remind parents about before and after school programs. That makes their life so much easier. And as I mentioned earlier, there are parents out there who don't know what you offer before and after school. Is it their fault for not reading the guidebook end to end? Is it their fault for not being on the website every day? Or is it our fault for not properly communicating in a way that works for them? We want them to know that they can leave their child in our care until 6 p.m. so that they can come back and pick them up at that point, and they can drop them off as early as 7 a.m. We've got these programs in the morning as well. We moved chess club to the morning so that kids would have something to do. They appreciate that so much. That serves them, that saves them time, it works for them. But those are the exact same parents, just like the gift receiving parents want to give gifts, these parents also want to serve. And we have to find creative ways to do that. So we have to engage them in meaningful service projects. A lot of schools, and my own school included, required service hours from families. I love service hours. A lot of schools don't, because a lot of service hours can be kind of a hassle. We have to have parents sign up for things and all they do is come in and supervise lunch, or they supervise a field trip. That's how they do their hours. Or if they don't do them by the end of the year, they cut us a check for the rest of the hours that they owe. I don't like that. There are so many ways we can engage parents in serving the school in ways that also serve them well and work for them. When you're talking about these acts of service parents, parents who are often working a job, more than one job, working in the evenings, working odd hours, they're not going to be able to come into the school and supervise lunch. They're not going to be able to go on a field trip. But when I needed our website translated into Spanish, I found these acts of service parents and I sent them just bricks of text. And I said, if you translate this for me, I will give you an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of service off of your time. They would send me back these beautiful translations. All I had to do was drop them into the website and boom, we had a Spanish language version of our website. I needed parents who were photographers, who were videographers, who were database managers, who could work on websites. And I could offer them service hours for all of this. And because they were doing it at home and outside of school hours, they didn't have to get Vertis trained and they didn't have to get background checked. They didn't have time for that, but they could still serve in a meaningful way. They were incredibly valuable. So think about creative ways that you can engage parents in service projects. Offer those creative volunteer opportunities and strengthen your parent ambassador program. Hopefully your parent ambassador program is chock-a-block with all 5 of these different types of parents, of all 5 of these love languages. But you've got people who represent each different one because they're going to serve your school in different ways. But these acts of service parents, they especially want to be useful for you and work with you. So what can you do? In the realm of customer service, what can a school leader, what can a school administrator, what can a marketer, what can anyone who works on a school staff do to make this customer service work well? Well, the primary role that you have, it's very simple and it's very difficult. Here it is. Show joy in all that you do. Be a cheerleader. I think that being a cheerleader is easier than showing joy. Joy is not always the most natural thing in the moment. We get caught up in what's happening right now and we forget the immensity of our blessings in working in this kind of environment and how amazing our school is. So showing joy might be a little bit harder, but being a cheerleader, that's easy. For Catholic school people, it is so easy to go out and be a cheerleader because that's why we're here. None of us are in Catholic education to get rich, and we will be very successful at not getting rich at this. We are here because it's a mission, and we're here to drive other people forward and help them do their very best. So being a cheerleader, that's a simple thing. So if you can bring that cheer, if you can bring that effort to the interactions you have with other people, your customer service will be amazing. I am a naturally joyful person. I'm very happy about that, very fortunate that I can just be this ebullient and excited all the time, and I can share this joy with other people. If that's not naturally you, that's okay. Just think about how you can make each situation as positive as possible. And it will take practice and it will take time. And it may not sound totally practical. I guarantee it can work. It really can. And if not you, then who? You know, there might be other people in your school who are terrific customer service people. Make sure they're out front. Put them on stage and make sure that they're the ones who are taking charge of this message as well. So I wanted to share a handful of other things. That's really the conclusion of my presentation on customer service and on the love languages. If you have any questions about those, please drop them into the chat. I'd really appreciate that. But I wanted to talk about a handful of other timely tools since I knew I'd have just a little bit of time at the end here. So here are some of the things that if you need help with this right now, during enrollment season, I can help you out. And it will be very quick, very easy, and free. So check these things out. Number one, my absolute all-time favorite thing, if you've ever been on a training with me, you've heard about this, it's the nut card. Oh my goodness, do I love the nut card. The No Uniform Today card, it is better than gold. It is free and kids go absolutely nuts for it. It is a way to increase your early re-enrollment immediately. I'm working with a ton of schools all over the country who have had this history of a culture of parents not signing up until the summertime. Unacceptable. We can start our enrollment in January, and we know that a lot of our parents might not be ready right then. We can get them ready. We can help them get there before the end of the school year so that we're not chasing our own students into the summertime. And the nut card is a great way to do that. If you click that link, once you get this presentation, it'll tell you all about it. Or you can call me, email me, and I'll walk you through it. And it is the easiest thing. And I guarantee you, if you are a late enrolling school, this will improve your numbers this year. This year, it already has. I have a bunch of principals who've sent me these great examples of how they've done it. Another way to do it, big visual display. Turn a trophy case into a fish bowl. Every time a kid signs up, write their name on a paper fish and stick it into that bowl so they will see their name and they'll feel excited that they're coming back. But also, the kids whose names aren't in there, they'll notice. The parents will walk in and see that bowl and get that reminder over and over again. Oh, I need to bring in my paperwork. Big visual reminders definitely work. And then incentivizing that first class to reach 100% response rate. Not 100% retention, because we know that naturally some kids are going to be moving away. We're never going to retain 100% of most classrooms, but 100% response. The first classroom to hit that, pizza party. Even easier, ice cream party. Because an ice cream party just means going to the local grocery store, spending 15 bucks on popsicles and ice cream sandwiches, donezo. But they will go crazy for it as long as you really sell it. Get in there and talk to them about how exciting this competition is. There's also other early enrollment incentives you can do. A lot of you do this where you have differentiated rates based on when people sign up for the school. So this is a way to reduce your initial registration rate is by signing up earlier. I highly recommend that. And a referral incentive, getting families to bring in other families. I would love to talk to you more about a referral incentive. If you've never done one, it is worth it. The math on this works out. And I've had this argument with many, many school leaders and many pastors. An empty seat at your school is getting you $0. And it's another soul and another mind that we could be educating. We don't like empty seats. $0. If you fill that seat with someone who is paying a little bit less because we've given away a referral incentive to the family that brought them in, totally worth it. Totally worth it. A couple $100s that might cost you, totally worth it. So if you have a question about referral incentives, oh my goodness, I would love to talk to you about that. School profile sheet, preparing for tours. This is an easier thing to create than many things. I can do this essentially for you, and you would just kind of fill in the blanks. They look nice and they are super quick. They can be double-sided in different languages if you like, but I can create that template for you and you can run with it from there. You can print these in the office and they're super duper simple. If you'd like a school profile sheet, drop me a line, kurtthemarketer@gmail.com. And finally, my favorite online tool that I'm shocked that a lot of schools still don't have is an online interest form. This is a simple Google form. It is so easy to create. In fact, I'll create it for you, so you don't even have to. And it takes me, again, 2 minutes. So this is free. If you want one, ask for any of these. They're free. And I will send it to you. You can put it on your website, and anybody who comes to your site and wants to take a tour, they can fill out this form. It makes it so much easier to track these folks over time. It makes it easier to follow up with them and make sure that they get through your system and they get enrolled. It is just the absolute best, and it's free. You can do this with any number of software suites, all the way up to Razor's Edge costing you $20,000 a year. You can do it for free right here. So I want to open it up for questions if there are any, but we've reached the end of our training today. So if there's anything else you'd like to know, please drop that into the chat section. But for now, I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed yourself today, if you have other questions, please drop me a line, kurtthemarketer.com or kurtthemarketer@gmail.com, and on. Connect with me on social media, and I'd love to see you there. But again, to the Presido Project, Andrea, thank you so much for having me today. Thank you all for joining me. I know that you have a lot of things that you could be doing with your time. This is an incredibly valuable investment. I'm glad you chose it. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Kurt. And I just dropped in the chat for everyone the link to register for Kurt's next webinar, which I believe is in May. So sign up for that. And he's got more content coming. Definitely follow him. He is a wealth of information and just works so well with our partner schools. I want to thank you also for your time today, and thank you for your ministry to Catholic education. We wish you the best and a nice Holy Week and Easter, and hopefully spring break coming up soon. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.